What if I told you that your next decade could be your last decade of mandatory work? While everyone else is grinding away, dreaming of freedom at 65, there's a proven system that could have you financially independent by your mid-30s or 40 years without hitting the lottery or building the next billion-dollar startup. Here's the brutal truth. Most people will work for 40-plus years, trading their time for money until they're too old to enjoy their freedom. They believe early retirement is some fantasy reserved for trust fund babies and tech billionaires. But what if that's the biggest financial lie you've ever been told? I've spent years studying wealth-building strategies and analyzing the exact systems that ordinary people use to escape the 9-to-5 trap. The data is clear, the math is simple, and the results are repeatable. In the next few minutes, I'm going to break down the real strategy behind 10-year retirement plans, expose the one critical mistake that keeps 90% of people trapped in endless work cycles, and show you the exact framework that turns your money into an army of silent workers. But first, let me ask you this. What would you do if you never had to set another alarm clock for work? Because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to make that a reality. And it starts with understanding why most people's approach to retirement is completely backwards. You're 25, fresh out of college, and someone tells you to work until you're 65. That's 40 years of your life, literally half your existence, spent making someone else rich while you wait for someday to arrive. Most people fall into what I call the earn, spend, repeat cycle. They get their paycheck, pay their bills, maybe save a tiny amount, and then wonder why their investment account barely moves. After a few years of watching their portfolio grow at a snail's pace, they give up and think, this retirement thing is impossible. But here's what they don't understand. They're trying to climb Mount Everest by taking baby steps. The math doesn't work with traditional thinking because they're missing the most powerful force in finance: compound interest working at scale. The real tragedy? They assume early retirement is only for people who inherit millions or sell companies for billions. That's complete nonsense, and I'm about to prove it. Let me introduce you to your new best friend, the Rule of 72. This simple formula tells you exactly how long it takes to double your money. You take 72, divide it by your annual return rate, and boom.
That's how many years until your money doubles. So if you're getting a 10% annual return, 72 divided by 10 equals 7.2 years to double your money. But here's where it gets exciting. Let's say you start with $50,000. In 7.2 years, you have $100,000. Another 7.2 years, $200,000. Then $400,000, then $800,000, then $1.6 million. Now I know what you're thinking. Great, so I just need to wait 36 years to become a millionaire. Wrong. That's exactly the mindset that keeps people stuck. The secret isn't just letting that first $50,000 sit there. It's continuously feeding the machine while compound interest does its work. Think of those first few years as building the foundation of a skyscraper. You don't see much progress above ground, but you're creating something that will eventually tower over everything else. The problem is, most people quit during the foundation stage because they can't see the building yet. Here's the breakthrough moment. Saving alone will never get you there fast enough. You need to attack this from both sides, increasing your income and controlling your expenses. Let me show you the math. If you make $4,000 a month and save 10%, that's $400 monthly, or about $77,000 after 10 years with compound growth. Not bad, but not life-changing either. But what if you focus on increasing your income to $10,000 a month and still save that same 10%? Now you're putting away $1,000 monthly, which grows to about $193,000 in 10 years. Same percentage, more than double the result. But here's the real secret sauce. Every time you get a raise, promotion, or side hustle income, don't upgrade your lifestyle, upgrade your investments. Treat that extra money like it doesn't exist for spending. Instead, think of every dollar as hiring a new employee who works 24/7 to make you more money. A $500 monthly raise doesn't buy you a better car payment. It buys you an extra $96,000 over 10 years when invested properly. That's the difference between thinking like a consumer and thinking like an investor.
Now let's talk about building a portfolio that actually works for early retirement. You can't just throw money at random stocks and hope for the best. You need a 3-layer system: Layer 1 is growth. This is your index funds, growth stocks, and dividend-growing companies. These are your wealth builders. They might not pay you much today, but they're growing your net worth every year. Layer 2 is income. REITs, dividend stocks, rental properties. These are your cash flow generators. While Layer 1 is building your mountain of wealth, Layer 2 is sending you monthly paychecks. Layer 3 is protection. Treasury bonds, high-yield savings, maybe some commodities. This isn't about getting rich quick. It's about making sure you don't lose everything when markets go crazy.
The beautiful thing about this system, it works whether you're actively managing it or not. Your growth layer compounds automatically, your income layer pays you like clockwork, and your protection layer keeps you safe during storms. But here's a crucial point many people miss. Diversify your currencies too. Don't put all your eggs in one country's economic basket. Spread your wealth across different markets and currencies to protect against any single economic disaster. Here's where most early retirement plans fall apart. They ignore inflation. You can't just save $1 million and call it done. That million needs to keep growing, or it becomes worth less every year. If inflation runs at 3% annually, your money loses 3% of its buying power every year. That means you need your contributions and returns to outpace inflation consistently. The solution? Increase your monthly contributions by at least the inflation rate every year. If you're putting away $1,000 this year, make it $1,030 next year, then $1,061 the year after. It sounds small, but over 20 years, this simple adjustment can turn $760,000 into over $1 million. Also, reinvest 10 to 20% of any passive income you start receiving. Don't spend every dividend check or rental payment. Let some of it cycle back into the machine to keep it growing stronger. I won't sugarcoat this. The first few years are brutal on your psychology. You're putting away significant money and watching your account balance crawl forward like a broken calculator. But compounding is like a slow-motion avalanche. It starts with a few pebbles, then some rocks, then boulders, until eventually it becomes an unstoppable force of nature. The magic happens when your investments start earning more than you can save from your job. When you have $100,000 invested at 10% returns, that's $10,000 in passive income. But when you hit $1 million, that's $100,000 per year without lifting a finger. Most people quit before they see this transition. They work through the quiet years, years 1 through 5, where everything feels slow and unrewarding. But the people who push through to years 6 to 10, they discover what true financial momentum feels like.
Once you hit your tipping point, your entire mindset has to shift. You're no longer trying to accumulate wealth. You're trying to protect the wealth-building system you've created. Every purchase becomes a question. Is this $100 dinner worth delaying my financial independence? Because that $100, invested instead of spent, becomes $259 in 10 years at 10% returns. This doesn't mean living like a monk forever. It means understanding that every dollar is a choice between temporary pleasure and permanent freedom. Choose wisely. Your money isn't there to be spent anymore. It's there to be deployed. Each dollar should have a job: growing your wealth, generating income, or protecting what you've built.
The next 10 years will pass whether you take action or not. You can spend them building a system that sets you free, or you can spend them wishing you had started sooner. Every dollar you invest today is a silent worker that never takes breaks, never calls in sick, and works 24/7 to build your empire. The question isn't whether this system works, it's whether you'll have the discipline to stick with it. Start today. Your future self will thank you.